Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another recording of Hearthstone. We're almost ready to play the new expansion Kobolds vs Catacombs, which means we can look at the new cards. So to do that, you click crafting and you click Kobolds, and for good measure we'll look at the uncraftable card. It's 2, just to make sure there's no difference there. Last time we looked at the Shaman cards, some very interesting new cards there. This time we're going to look at the new Warlock cards, which means we only then have to look at the Warrior and the neutral cards, and neutral cards in particular there'll be a lot more of them. There's only about 10 for each hero, but there's several more pages of neutral cards. First one for the Warlock though, we have a 1 mana spell called Dark Pact. Destroy a friendly minion, restore 8 health to your hero. This seems very similar to a card that already exists for the Warlock, where you destroy a demon and I believe restore like 5 health to your hero. This might be a little bit better, and it might be that this card is replacing a card that is being banned and going to the wild sets. That might be the issue. But we don't want to see a lot of that. We don't want to see cards that are just the exact same thing or a slightly tweaked version of cards that already exist. You might as well just not ban the cards that already exist. That is one of the problems of Magic the Gathering, is that they, for their tournament play, are constantly banning very old expansions, and then the new expansions are just the exact same cards with different art and a different name, certainly, but the effects are the same, and so it's a simple matter of just like, well, I want to play this card, what is the new equivalent version of this card? We want to move forward with new cards that do new interesting things, not just continuously playing the old cards, because those old players of Hearthstone are eventually just going to burn out and stop playing Hearthstone, and if they're just going to stick with wild play and play the old cards. So there's no need to reissue the same thing over and over again. Next we have a 1 mana 2 attack 1 health minion called the Kobold Librarian. Battlecry, draw a card, deal 2 damage to your hero. Interesting. I suppose you play this on the first turn and you're effectively using the Warlock's ability to draw a card and deal 2 damage to yourself. There is, however, a card out there that changes the Warlock ability so that you can draw cards without taking damage to your hero, and I'm not sure this would synergize with that ability or that strategy. That being said, maybe you would play this, but you probably wouldn't. You can almost certainly find a 1 mana 2 attack, 1 or 2 health that wouldn't have that ability, and drawing a card on the first turn where you would likely play something like this isn't super useful. Next we have a 2 mana 2 attack 4 health demon minion called the Vulgar Homunculus. It has taunt, battlecry, deal 2 damage to your hero. This one actually is worth playing. There's a daily quest to play demons, and having a 4 health taunt on your second turn I could see definitely being worth it. Again, if this synergizes with the strategy that I know exists but I can't remember quite how you do it, where your hero becomes immune or something during his turn, then it would definitely be worth it, but even without that strategy this is worth it. Next we have a 4 mana spell called Catacombs. Destroy all minions, discard your hand. Not a terrible card to have, particularly if you wait until like the 9th or 10th turn to play it and your hand is already empty. It makes a little bit less sense if you're playing this on the 4th turn and you've barely played any other cards at all. Particularly if you're just trying to destroy all minions, you might want to wait till the 9th or 10th turn so that your opponent has had enough time to summon some of their best minions anyways. And you could have 2 of those, so you can play it on your 9th and 10th turn, or 10th or 11th. Next we have a 4 mana, 4 attack, 4 health demon. We're seeing some more demons getting added. I think that's a good idea, called the Hooked Reaver. And frankly, some of the minions in the Warlock deck could just be called demons already, and they aren't. The Hooked Reaver has a battle cry: if you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 and taunt. Yes, this is a very good strategy for the Warlock, because it is possible that, probably not on the 4th turn, but somewhere maybe around the 6th, maybe even 5th turn, you could be down to 15 or less health because of effects like drawing cards and taking 2 damage, or summoning minions and taking 2 damage, and with a little help of the opponent attacking you. Yeah. Next we have a 4 mana spell called Lesser Amethyst Spellstone. It has lifesteal, deal 3 damage to a minion, take damage from your cards to upgrade. So certainly if you're playing any of these cards that take damage from deal damage to you, you would play this. Now we're starting to see a synergy in the strategy though. It's only from your cards that this gets upgraded. So I assume if you had this in your hand on the 1st turn draw and you play this, this gets upgraded, and then you would have probably a 5 mana spell, or maybe it stays the same cost. Maybe it's a 4 mana spell that has lifesteal that does 4 damage, and then it very possibly, I think, will say take damage from one of your cards to upgrade, or take 2 damage, take damage from 2 of your cards to upgrade a 2nd time. And so that would be rather easy if you had 2 of these. So yeah, definitely play this with this, and I think you want to play both of those and play this with that too. So these 3 cards seem to synergize very well, better than any of the other cards I've seen so far. Next we have a 5 mana, 2 attack, 2 health minion called the Possessed Lackey, Death Rattled Recruited Demon. So here's the issue. This is a really expensive card for 5 mana for a 2 attack and 2 health, but recruiting a demon might be very well worth it, particularly if it's one of the few very powerful demons. Like, I'm thinking Jiraxxus in particular might be a demon. That might be an easy way to get another Jiraxxus. Otherwise, if you can't get anything amazing, or you're very unlikely to be able to recruit a very amazing demon, I would say this card's probably not worth playing. Next we have a 5 mana, 0 attack, 3 durability legendary weapon called Skull of the Minari. At the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. Ooh. That seems like that's rather useful, honestly. And as far as I understand it, the durability is not going to go down because of an ability activating. So if you play this on your 5th turn, every turn after that, if you have a demon in your hand, it gets summoned, and that would be pretty crazy and pretty game winning. Now again though, this might be just a little too expensive a weapon to have in a deck, and we might see this getting randomly assigned more often via spells and other minions versus actually being played. Next we have a 6 mana, 3 attack, 6 health minion, legendary minion called Rin the First Disciple. Taunt, Death Rattle, add the first seal to your hand. So getting the first seal I believe, is the first card through a whole strategy that is a game-winning thing. So you have to do like the 4th or 5th seal. I don't think it's 3 seals even. But once you unlock the gate, I think you just win the game. We've seen more of that idea introduced with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, where you can change your hero into a Frost Knight, Death Knight version of the hero, and then they can summon with their hero ability one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and when all 4 are on the field, you just win the game. I think that's what this is, and I very much welcome that. It is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Exodia, the Exiled concept, or Spirit Board concept, where in Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game there were several ways where you just won the game based on the cards in your hand, or based on doing very little work, and it helps speed up the game and make it a little bit more random. Now, the pro players certainly aren't going to like the ability to randomly lose when they did nothing wrong, but average players like that randomness. They like to have some surprise happen every now and then. And then finally we have a 9 mana, 3 attack, 9 health demon minion called Void Lord. Taunt, Death Rattle, summon 3 1/3 demons with taunt. This is a pretty decent card. It's not amazingly great at only 3 attack, but it's alright for stalling. But if you're stalling and trying to buy time on the 9th turn, what are you doing? Particularly with a Warlock deck. Like, I think that's what kills this card. If this was a much cheaper card that summoned 3 1/1 demons with taunt, and it was then a 3/3 with taunt itself, I would play it, particularly if it was only 3 mana or 6 mana. But waiting till you have 9 mana to play something with only 3 attack doesn't make a lot of sense. So, some very interesting new cards being added. A pretty obvious synergy here, more than what I've seen in any of the other expansions so far. I imagine I will start seeing a lot more synergies once I look at the neutral cards. Next expansion I'm going to make a special point to look at the neutral cards first. That way I can reference them when looking at the hero cards, but I've failed to do that this expansion. Next time we will look at the warrior, then the neutral cards in the time after that. But we are done now, so that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.